boys, today we're doing the Across the Timeways tier list expansion for legendaries only, because I'm not rating through all these dogs. For F means unplayable garbage, disenchant this. C means maybe you put it into a meme deck, maybe like meme deck potential, I don't know. B is probably playable and you could add it to your deck. A means it's probably going to be add to a deck and or make a new deck. S means Giga OP, nerf that immediately. We already know it's going to be broken. Any questions? Also, we got a new mechanic this time, dude. We got Fabled. I love Fabled. All right, let's start off with the first one. First one, I believe this might be a free legendary. I'm actually not 100% sure. Timelooper Toki, 3 mana, 8/8, dormant for 5 turns with Rush. After you play a card from the newest expansion, awaken 1 turn sooner. The only positive about this is that this is a dragon. Now, we're already at a little bit of a problem here because I'm gonna put this in F because you're not playing this. You can't actually disenchant this if this is the free card. So if this ends up being the free one, we're gonna have to make its own tier. I don't even know where it is here. There it is. I mean, in general, like you're probably gonna get this on turn 5, turn 6, and there ain't no way in the big 2K25 we're running a 3 mana 8/8 that's coming out on turn 6. That is just miserable. Mr. Coxworth, 8 mana 3/3, rewind. Actually, this card just got nerfed today because apparently the rewind mechanic is too annoying to play with. So they don't want 3 rewinds, they only want 2. You don't know what rewind is? It basically restarts your turn. So Mr. went from about 5 inches to 3. 8 mana 3/3 battlecry, summon 2 random legendary minions. It is a mech. The problem with this card is that most legendaries are garbage unless you're building your deck towards it. There's very few ones that you want to generate. And basically, wait, not the entire turn. The outcome of this, sorry, my bad. Basically, you might as well get yourself a toy. All right, this is going enough. All right, now we get to actually good legendaries. Let's talk about some good ones. Smile if you're bricked up. All right, now we get to probably where the good legendaries come in. Fabled is arguably the coolest mechanic they've done in a very long time. If you don't know what Fabled means, it means that you not only do get 1 legendary, you're getting 3 legendaries for the price of 1. But the caveat of it is that all 3 of these legendaries go in your deck when you add Sylvanas in. So we have to evaluate this as a package, not by an individual card basis, because all 3 of them will be in your deck. Ranger General Sylvanas, 3 mana 2/4, battlecry, deal 2 damage to all enemies. You played Illyria or Varisia. Repeat for each. Sylvanas in herself is a great card. It is probably gonna be the best out of the 3 of them. Illyria is discover a spell. If you played Sylvanas or Varisia, repeat for each. And then Varisia is the 3 mana 2/4 battlecry, give minions in your deck +1/+1. If you played Sylvanas or Illyria, repeat for each. I think the order you would optimally want to go for is Varisia, Illyria, Sylvanas. Sylvanas is a very good card if you're doing 3 mana, deal 6 damage to everything. I'm pretty confident as well. Hunter is not that sad about putting this in like any deck. This card looks very good. And obviously, I don't even just mean the text. Am I right, fellas? Come wait, guys. Sorry, I don't know why the camera's so like twisted there. I'm gonna put her in A. I think she's very good. Honestly, hold on. I'm gonna put in B for now. We'll worry about her later. Gelbin of Tomorrow, 8 mana 6/6, another Fabled card for Paladin. Battlecry, put 1 of each aura from your deck into the battlefield, and it's a mech. This card, just in general, before we even look at the Fabled cards, looks very good. Almost all of the auras, if you played 5 of them for 8 mana, would be insane. I think overall, this card looks just playable in itself if we're not considering the other 2 cards here. Now, we also get Gnomish Aura, which is tradable for 4 mana. At the end of your turn, restore 4 health to all your characters and last 3 turns. And you also get Mechatork's Aura, which is 5 mana, tradable. At the end of your turn, give a random friendly minion +4/+4 and Divine Shield. It's also lasts 3 turns. This card is very comparable to Mysterious Challenger from the Grand Tournament, where it's like you could play this, and if you pull out 5 auras out of your ass, you're like really, really happy with it. The one issue may happen to be is that you have to run a lot of these auras, and not all of the auras actually have tradable on them. If you run too many auras, it's going to be a little weird. If you don't run enough auras, is this card even worth putting it in? And you do have to put both of these in regardless. Like, I'm not sure how good Gnomish Aura really ends up being. Mechatork's Aura is probably fine. This one's a little bit tough to evaluate because I don't know what Paladin deck really wants this, but the card seems just good in a vacuum. And that's the hardest part about this card for me. I think it's probably fine. I think when we first saw it, I was a little bit more up on it, but I think it's fine to put it in B. It might be a C. It really depends on how good we think auras are going to be here. Maybe a C, but I'll put it for B for now. Chrono-Lord Deios. Wait, how do you pronounce it again? Deios? D-I-O-S? 7 mana, 4/8. Your battle cries, death battles, hero power, and end of turn effects trigger twice. We know how good Bran is. Baron Riverdare is fine. Whatever. Hero power is okay. It works with Imbues. That's interesting. And end of turn trigger effects are fine as well. The problem with the card, this card is at 7 mana. So the only time you're really excited for it is like if you have Azshara giving you 15 mana, and then maybe you could do a lot of stuff with it. But this is a super, super greedy ass card. Maybe playable in Wilds. I'm pretty sure you can get away with disenchanting this card and you'd probably be okay. Now, before I move on, I think this card is very contingent on other cards that they will be bringing into the game. I think if the game does slow down after rotation, this card is like, it gets better. This is a card you kind of have to watch out for because all of a sudden one card can make it broken. You know what? I'm going to move it up to C for its potential. I don't think it's an auto disenchant. I think it's tough to evaluate a card because it's going to depend on what decks really want it. But I think this is more of a future card than, you know, it makes sense because it's across the timeways. I don't think it's going to be playable in the expansion, but after rotation, I think there's a good chance. Chromie. 6 mana, 4/6 death rattle, draw another copy of cards you played this game. I think this card is awesome. I really like the fact that you can think about like what cards you've played this game so far and then you draw the other copies in your deck. Problem with this is like it's a little slow. I wish it was a battle cry because the 6 mana, 4/6 death rattle is like really weak in Hearthstone, and especially when it doesn't impact the board when you're finished. But I don't think it's F tier at all. I think it's like a C tier. I think it's another one of these cards that like all of a sudden this card might become one of the best cards in the game. You know what? I'm going to do a quick swap here. Give that B, give this C. I think this card has a higher potential than Gelbin does. Murozond Unbounded, 9 mana, 8/8 battle cry. At the start of your next turn, set this minion's attack to infinity. I think this might be the worst card of the set. I really don't see a world where this is playable whatsoever. You kind of need to get really lucky. I think in Wild, this is going to name or make some really interesting combinations, but this is like the definition of like a Disney World card. Talanji of the Graves, 4 mana, 4/5 fabled for Death Knight, battlecry, draw, Bonswamdi, or resurrect him if he's already died. Choose a boon to give him. It's also undead, which might be important. I should mention as well, I haven't mentioned it yet, fabled cards cannot be randomly generated. That's important to note because you won't be able to just generate this. You do get some pretty sick options here. You get Boon of Power, Boon of Longevity, and Boon of Speed. One of them gives Bonswamdi Taunt, one of them gives it Lifesteal, and the other one gives it Rush, while also saying minion summoned by his death rattle costs 2 more. This is Bonswamdi for the record, by the way. Bonswamdi is a 6 mana, 6/6 death rattle, summon a random 4-cost minion. Then obviously with more boons, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Extremely value oriented. You also got What Befell Zandalar, which is a 3 mana, deal 2 damage to all enemies. Choose a boon to give Bonswamdi. I unfortunately think this card is very bad. The problem with this card is it takes way too fucking long to get going. It's just not needed. I also think in a world where it's like Death Knight has starships and they just have better tools, like why am I playing this card? I really don't see a world where I want this. Now, again, after rotation, there's a little bit more of a chance this actually does see play because it's kind of just like a win condition. I am tempted to put it in F, but it may just be like a C thing where it's like maybe there's a deck that wants it. Probably one of the most cool legendaries we've ever seen. Husk, Eternal Reaper, 4 mana, 5/3 battle cry. Give your hero death rattle, spend up to 20 corpses to resurrect with that much health. So immediately the comparison here is Ice Block. Ice Block was a 3 mana secret when your hero takes lethal damage, become immune for the rest of the turn. The reason why Ice Block was so good was not only did it save your life, but you got an additional turn to spend that mana. The problem with this card is it doesn't stop your opponent from continuing its turn. This card will resurrect you, but your opponent can still do more damage to you. So if I'm comparing this to Ice Block, I'd rather have Ice Block in every instance. It's not even close, especially because I don't even rely on the corpses. I just guarantee get the extra effect. Now, the interesting thing here is, how do you interact with this? Ice Block, you could actually deal with the secret, like there's tech cards for it, but I don't even know how you interact with this. It'd be really interesting to see. Ice Block doesn't stop Rafaam, this does. So in that instance, cards that will like kill your hero, this will resurrect it, which is interesting. There's a lot of interesting use cases for this card. My biggest problem is a 4-mana 5/3 that does nothing is pretty bad. You need to have corpses for this to be good. This is such an interesting effect. Probably one of the coolest things we've ever seen. I'm pretty confident that this is like C, maybe B. But I'm not like, I'm gonna put it like high C. I'm not like losing my mind about this card. I think it's really cool though. I think it's really cool. The Fins Beyond Time. 2-mana 2/3 battle cry. Replace your hand with your starting hand. Swap back at the end of your turn. The only problem with this card is that it's a paladin card. I think in any other like deck, any other class, this card might be the most like maybe the best card of the set. If this was in Rogue, legitimately, I think it's the best card in the game. Unfortunately, it's not Rogue, it's Paladin. Now, even with that as Paladin, I do think Paladin has a really good chance of just running this card in almost every deck. You're often just running good cards. And if this card basically reads 2 mana, draw your starting hand, and that's just good enough. That's like 4 cards. I think you want this card in almost every single deck, and I can't think of a single reason you wouldn't. And that's kind of where my mind's at with this one. I'm very up on this card. I think this is like an A. I don't know why I'm not running this card. Eternus, 6 mana, 6/2 battle cry. Take control of an enemy minion with this minion's health or less. It's also a dragon for priest. Priest got a lot of support for a card like this in this set. I think the priest set looks really bad though. You don't want to hold stuff in your hand to just get more health. You need to impact the board. And if you don't have this in your hand while you're buffing the cards in your hand, this card is just ass. You're probably not wanting to play this card. And I don't know if this will ever see play. I'm pretty confident that this is an F tier card. Now I will say before we continue going, this card also is contingent on more cards being released. If there are better ways of buffing this minion's health, then we'll talk about it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong though. Maybe there is like, maybe it's just consistent enough that you can actually, I just don't think it's going to be a good archetype. Okay, I'm going to put it in C. All right. Luckily for Priest, Medivh the Hallowed, a 10 mana 7/7 actually looks pretty good. Fabled, cost 0 if you control Karazhan, Battlecry, Silence, and destroy all other minions. You also get Atiesh the Greatstaff, which is a 10 mana 1/3 cost 0 if you control Medivh. Double the damage and healing of your spells. And then there's Karazhan the Sanctum, which is a 10 mana location, cost 0 if you're wielding Atiesh. Summon 2 random 8 cost minions. I think this card in itself is just good. I just don't know if you want this in like the Protoss Priest we've been looking around, but this card is just good enough that you probably might slot it in. Luckily for Priest, this card's in this game because I don't know about the rest of the cards in this set. I do think this card is very playable. Also, again, contingent on what cards Priest gets in future expansions, I think it's just going to be better. But I'm very happy to put that in A tier. King Maluk. 4 mana 5/6 battle cry, discard your hand, get an infinite banana. 1 mana, give a minion +1/+1 and stays in your hand. I want to give this card some credit, but you know, I looked at the hunter set as well, and the hunter set looks so bad. Like it looks so bad. There's like one card I think is good in the hunter set, and this card has no, like barely any synergy with the rest of the set. And that feels weird because like you would think that an infinite banana would go crazy. And if you gave this to me in like 2016 Hearthstone, I'm kind of it. But I think for the most part, I think this card is very hard to use. I think this card will be just like cool to generate. Listen, I hate to do this. I'm pretty sure this card's unplayable. I think you could just disenchant that shit and you'd be fine. Anyways. Krona, Keeper of Eons, 6 mana 4/7 taunt battlecry. Set the costs of the bottom 5 cards of your deck to 1. I think the Druid set looks pretty good. There's a lot of good cards in this Druid set, and I think this card fits very nicely into it. That's pretty much it. Card looks great. Also very contingent on other cards that will be released in the future, but at the current moment, I think Druid does like the card. And I think the Druid set of looking at the bottom of your deck will be really fun to play with. I do think there's like a card that says like 1 mana, draw a card, discover a card from your deck, put the other 2 on the bottom. I think that card's awesome. So like that card alone, I think is making this maybe a little bit more playable. But the potential high roll you can get with this is just awesome. And I think it's very easy to slot this into a Druid deck. I don't think this is S. I do think it's somewhere around here. Lady Azshara. 5 mana 5/5 Fabled. Choose one, empower Zinashari or the Well of Eternity. I think Lady Azshara is good, but we'll get to that in a second because the Well of Eternity is a 4 mana fill your hand with random temporary spells for 3 durability. Or Zinashari is another location for 4 mana, summon a copy of a friendly minion. On average, not on average, almost every single time, you're probably picking Zinashari over the Well of Eternity. There are instances where this might be better, but having summon a copy is insane, and you could also empower it if you feel like it to have its stats doubled. I don't think that's going to be extremely irrelevant. But I will say this, you run Elise currently just to get summon a copy of a friendly minion, you're probably going to run this card specifically for that reason. The other great thing is, if you play this card, you can actually, you know, if you don't have them in your hand, you can destroy the Well of Eternity, so you have one less card in your deck, and you have a buffed up Zinashari, which is great. I think this card's very, very good. I think this card fits into a deck. I think this card's going to make Owl Druid even better, and I'm pretty sure you're putting this in a Farseer Wo, 4 mana 2/6 elusive. After you cast a spell, discover a nature spell from the past. There are too many spells from Wilds where the average nature spell is not good, and this card's yeah. I mean, there's not that much to say here, man. It's just not good. I wish it would say like discover a nature spell from the past and reduce its cost by 1, or make this 3 mana. At 4 mana, it's just so awful. It just feels bad to play with. Yeah, I'm not happy about it. Now, that being said, Shaman is saved because Muradin the High King looks like an extremely good card. This is a 5 mana 3/2 Fabled. Rush, Battlecry, bring the High King's Hammer to me. Death Rattle, add it to your hand. So we first have to go through what the High King's Hammer is. It's a 6 mana 3/4 Wind Fury. Death Rattle, shuffle this into your deck with 2 attack permanently. You also get Avatar's Form with your Fabled. 3 mana, give a friendly character +2 attack, and after this attack, deal 2 damage to all enemies this turn. Card looks very good. The great thing about Muradin is if you don't have Hammer in your hand, I mean, even if your hand, it's going to work like this anyways, but when you play this, it will draw it, absorb the stats and keywords. So all of a sudden, this becomes a 5 mana 6/6 with Wind Fury, with Rush. And you kind of have to kill it. And if you do kill it, they drew their hammer, which the hammer looks very good. This card in itself is probably going to be playable in every Shaman deck for the rest of its time in Standard. Looks really, I mean, I do not know why you would not run this card in any Shaman deck you are playing. I can't think of a reason for it unless there's like a better weapon you don't want to destroy. Now, the question ends up being, is this going to make a brand new deck for Shaman that's going to be like running the metagame? I don't know. I don't think there's enough of a, like, there's other cards in this that will support it. Maybe it would though. Maybe it is my first test. I don't know. I think it's very, very good. All right, Garona Halforcen. Don't say Forsen. 4 mana 5/4 Fabled. Battlecry. If your opponent is holding King Lane, destroy him and cut their health in half. King Lane is a 3 mana 3/3 start a game. Hide from Garona in the enemy's deck. Battlecry. Draw a card. Shuffle this back into your deck. You also get the Kingslayer, which is a 2 mana 3/2 weapon. After your hero attacks, both players draw a legendary card. This card is really cool. Probably one of the most interesting cards we've ever gotten in the history of Hearthstone. Might be my favorite legendary design we've ever seen. The thing about this card is that you're starting with 1 less card in your deck because King Lane goes to your opponent, which means if both players are starting with 30, you go to 29, your opponent goes to 31. That's probably the best thing about this card. If you end up seeing that your opponent, I mean, there's ways you could see because you know, we saw what Rogue got in the set. King Lane, theoretically at max health, means that this does 4 mana 5/4, deal 15 damage to your opponent. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And you deny them the draw, which is not as relevant, but it's something. I do think this card could be ran specifically just to make your opponent's life more miserable, and the fact that you're running 1 less card in your deck. I think that's the reason you're running it. I do not know if you really care about the 15 damage or whatever. I guess against Death Knight, it's even better. I don't know. I feel like this card, when I first looked at it, looks so like bad, but I really think this card has potential. I really think it does. I really do. We're going to come back on this card. I really do think it's cool. Admiral Hooktail. Jesus, what was I doing? Am I good? 5 mana 4/6 Battlecry. Summon a 0/8 chest for your opponent. It's full of coins. The coins might be relevant for Rogue. That's basically it. I'm sure every single deck would not be against just having this card and get a bunch of coins in their hand. Question ends up being, how valuable is this? A timeless chest. Really tough decision to say here. I feel like maybe in the future this card gets a little bit better. I'm not against it though. I'm gonna be honest. I do think having this on board is fine. It may be the difference of you playing like your Fyrakk 1 turn earlier. And is that good enough to see play? Probably not. I don't think it's a disenchant immediately though. It's probably like a C tier. There might be an angle for it. All right, Broxigar, a 2 mana 12/12 Fabled charge. Start of game, disappear, kill all 4 demons from Argus to reappear in hand. This card is a quest for Demon Hunter. That is better than a quest because you don't have to spend 1 mana to play it. And if it's not in your mulligan, which I don't know if it can be, maybe it can be, it doesn't take up a slot. You also get the Axe of Cenarius, which is a 3 mana 3/2 lifesteal. After your hero attacks and kills a minion, draw a portal to Argus. These are all the portal to Argus, by the way. Basically, you summon a 1/1 for your opponent. When it dies, you draw a card and then shuffle the next portal into your deck. You get a 1/1. Right, second portal is a 2/1, same concept, and they get a 3/1, then they get a 4/1, and then all of a sudden Broxigar reappears in your hand. Actually really nice that it comes into your hand. It's really nice that the card appears in your hand rather than having to draw it. And I believe if you use Pupil to generate this card, you will get another 12/12. I do not know if we have the time to go through this whole charade, because the issue with a card like this is you have to draw the portals and you have to kill the stuff, and then you got to find the next portal. So it's a very delayed card, but it's also a 2 mana 12/12 with charge. So where am I putting this? That's a great question. Probably a C tier though. I don't know. It's really I don't think it's an auto. I don't think it's like you're disenchanting this immediately. There might be something for this. It'll be interesting to see what ends up happening. Luckily for Demon Hunter, they got maybe one of the best locations in the game. The Eternal Hold, a 6 mana 3 durability. Get a demon that costs 5 or more. If your deck has no minions, your next one costs 0. The wording of this is weird because you get a demon that costs 5 or more. And if your deck has no minions, your next minion costs 0. So depending on how you build your deck and how you draw it, you could actually cheat out something insane. If you think Spell Demon Hunter is going to be good, like it depends. It depends on a lot. Currently, I would say from the cards we got, maybe not. Again, I do think there is potential for a card like this. I don't think it's a disenchant, but it's hard to imagine what deck is going to really want this. I just think the mana cheating is so good. Chrono-Lord Epoch, 6 mana 7/5 for warrior. Battlecry, destroy all minions that your opponent played last turn. It's a dragon. So I think this card is not horrible. You guys were like really against this card. It's a worse Brawl, but Brawl's broken. So Brawl, not broken, but it's always been a really good card. This card's just probably fine. Like, is it exciting? Not really. Is it gonna be a breaking the game like other cards will? No, but you're probably fine just playing it. And it's really good against cards that like we played Aggro Paladin, for example, right? You clear their board and they play it again, you just fucking destroy their life. And now you have a 7/5. It swaps tempo. The issue ends up being it doesn't deal with summon minions. And I think that's probably the biggest thing against it, but I think it's fine. Like, I think legitimately you might just consider it. And like, honestly, I want to put it here. Like, is that crazy? I think it's just like a card you add to control warrior. Logosh Blood Fighter, 7 mana 7/7 Fabled Rush. Death Rattle, summon a Blood Fighter from your hand, against +5/+5, and it attacks a random enemy. So you basically, with this one, you need another one of the Fabled cards in your deck. You have Brawl, which is Taunt, and the Death Rattle is to summon a Blood Fighter from your hand and give it +5/+5 and Taunt. Then you have Valera, which is just weird because it's warrior, but whatever. 7 mana 7/7 Elusive. Death Rattle, summon a Blood Fighter from your hand and give it +5/+5 and Elusive. The problem with this card is that you need like all 3 of them in your hand. And I think that's going to be its biggest downfall. Now, hold on. If you do have Logosh and you have one other Blood Fighter in hand, I don't think this card's horrible. I think it's fine. It's probably you probably disenchanted, but I'll leave it here because there might be a chance for it. Azure Queen Sindragosa, 5 mana 2/8 Fabled. If you control another dragon, your arcane spells cost 2 less, and this is a dragon. You also get the Azure O-Stone for 8 mana, which is summon your dragons that died this game. You also get Azure King Malagos, 5 mana 2/8. If you control another dragon, your arcane spells cast twice. I think this card has a lot of potential. I don't think every card that Mage got this set is good, but this card as a Fabled card is probably fine. Because both of these cards have like the brand effect where you kind of need to kill them, because if you don't kill them, that's incredibly scary. And I'm thinking more about Malagos here than anything else. There's no way it's bad. I think it might be fine, to be honest with you. But again, it's one of those cards where it's like it gets better after rotation. Depends what other arcane spells are available. More dragon synergy makes this card better. I just don't know if it's going to be good enough right now. Timelooper Toki, 4 mana 4/4 Battlecry. Get 4 random spells from the past. When you play all 4, get another Timelooper Toki. Card's ass. Fun card, but ass. The problem is 4 random spells from the past mean that you're often getting nothing that is usable, and that is the biggest problem. Also, if you don't have the hand space for this, you can't even get this to infinite. It should say get 4 random spells from the past and they cost 1 less, but I think this card's unplayable. Okay, you guys are gonna hate me for this, but we're gonna talk about this. There's so many cards to go through here. This is like a mouthful, bro, and I already talked about Broxigar. Timethief Rafaam, 10 mana, 10/10 Fabled plus. Your deck size is 40, but has 10 Rafaams. Battlecry, if you played the rest, destroy the enemy hero. You have Tiny Rafaam, which is a 1 mana, 1/1 death throw draw Rafaam. You have Green Rafaam, which is a 2 mana Battlecry, give you Rafaams in hand +2/+2. You have Murloc Rafaam, which is a 3 mana Battlecry. The next Rafaam you play costs 3 less, and it's a Murloc. You have Explorer Rafaam, which is a 4 mana, 4/4 Battlecry. Discover a Rafaam from your deck. You have War Chief Rafaam, which is a 5 mana, 5/5 Battlecry. Gain 5 armor. If you control another Rafaam, gain 5 more. Calamitous Rafaam, 6 mana, 6/6 Battlecry. Deal 6 damage to all minions that aren't Rafaam. Actually, this card's very good. You have Mind Flayer Rafaam, 7 mana, 7/7 Tom Battlecry. If you're holding another Rafaam, summon a copy of this. Also think it's very good. You have Giant Rafaam, which is an 8 mana, 8/8 Rush. Costs 1 less for each Rafaam you play this game. You have Archmage Rafaam, which is a 9 mana, 9/9 Battlecry chance for all minions that aren't Rafaam into 1/1 cheat. And then you have Rafaam. Now, here's the problem with this card. This is ridiculously slow. Ridiculously slow. The other problem is your health is also not 40. Only your deck size is 40. So the biggest problem with Rafaam is that this is a giga win condition where you have to go through the whole game. The best comparison I can make here is the questline priest from United and Stormwind, which was not good enough at all. Also, you have to run 29 other cards besides Timethief Rafaam to make this playable. Is this card awesome? Hell fucking yeah, man. Will this card be played? Yeah, because people like having fun in their Hearthstone game. Don't lie to me. But I think from a competitive standpoint, this is not going to be good enough. And I wish it was. I wish it was more interesting. But I think Warlock is doing so much better stuff currently in the game that you are not running this. And that makes me sad. They could make it so your health is 40. I'm shocked they didn't do that. But maybe they felt like that was going to be too good. But yeah. And the very last legendary. Chronogar, 6 mana, 6/7 Battlecry. You draw your 2 highest cost cards. Your opponent draws your 2 lowest cost cards. Card is cool. I think the second line of text here is almost like irrelevant here. What it really comes down for this card is like, if I'm a Warlock and I'm looking for the best card in my deck that also is the highest cost card, you might play this. Good cost for the stats, might be playable. I think this card in a vacuum just seems fine, which is why I think it's like a B tier card, to be honest with you. It just seems like it's good. 6 mana, 6/7 to draw 2 cards. You're pretty happy with that. Now, I'm gonna say something real fast before I conclude this video. Guys, Hearthstone right now is in a spot where I think they're legitimately trying to lower the power level post rotation. And I think we're getting a pretty good glance at that through this set. This is the expansion that I think will be better after the tier list, or after rotation. Currently in Hearthstone, I think a lot of these cards are just not going to be good enough because the current metagame is ridiculous. We're going to need some nerfs. So looking at this through a vacuum and seeing what currently is playable, I don't know what competes with Quest Warlock currently. I do not know what competes against Fyrakk Rogue. I do not know how we're even going to compete against Starship Death Knight. That being said, a lot of these cards are really cool. I'm hoping they end up, like, I'm really hoping I'm wrong with this tier list. I do think this card's very good though. We're gonna have to wait and see what ends up happening with this rotation or with this expansion. Hopefully they nerf some cards and there's some buffs going with this. I am gonna say this. I think the early access Tavern Brawl is gonna be very fun. I think we're getting kind of maybe the same feeling as Ungoro to Electric Boogaloo, which is a bit unfortunate. Some of the coolest designs are in this set though. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Any final thoughts here, chat? Make sure you like, subscribe, all that nonsense. I love you. Big kisses.